breakfast of champions here. Got some Nutella on bread, some strawberry syrup and some water. Been based in Mont for the last couple of weeks. That's allowed me to do a lot of course recce's on the last section. Now we're here in Orsières, working on this kind of Ferret to Chamonix region of the course, which is what I'm going to be showing you today. So here are the things that I'm carrying with me today. This is a pretty standard setup for me. I've got a 1.5 litre bladder. That's got 90 grams of carbs in there in the form of electrolytes. Then I've got 2 500ml flasks, and they're just water. 7 gels. I'm doing a gel every 22 minutes, which is about the limit of what my stomach can handle at the moment. So overall, across a 3-hour run, I'm looking at 110, 115 grams of carbs an hour there. And then I've got my poles, and I've just got a Salomon Advanced Skin 5 for when I'm not carrying extra mandatory gear. Today the weather's pretty nice and it's a hot day, so I don't need to really carry anything up to the pass. I'm going to get in the car now and drive up to La Foulée with the family, and I'm going to run from there up to the peak of Col Ferret, which is basically the course in reverse, up to the peak. And then I'm going to run the UTMB course down from Col Ferret up to Chamonix, and then obviously off the course again down into Orsières. And I'm going to now run in reverse up Col Ferret and then down the valley to Orsières via Chamonix. So this is the town of La Foulée. It's the first aid station in Switzerland, which will be sometime in the morning. And it's not one that you can have spectators at, or sorry, crew. You can't have your crew there. But it's definitely a welcome sight coming down here after a big long descent. So I'm just taking it easy the first couple of Ks, pretty standard. Make sure that your body's warmed up before you start really settling into your normal pace. There's a cool chairlift here. Oh, I think I have to go down here. Oh no, I am meant to be up there. The first couple of weeks here, I've been focused on just getting the legs used to the big climbs, not really worrying about pace, because the climbs can go for a really long time. It's quite different to back home on the beach, dead flat, very different muscle usage. So a lot of hiking up the hills and just getting used to the 1 hour plus climbs. And now the legs are a bit more comfortable with the duration of the climbs and the heart rate's a lot lower on the climbs. I've started to think about at what gradient do I force myself to run and at what gradient do I force myself to hike, or do I allow myself to hike? So up to about a 10% gradient, probably dropping to more like 7% later in the race. I force myself to just keep jogging. Doesn't have to be fast, just keep it in a run. Even if it's a 9-minute pace run, just keep running. Because that way you're going to save yourself many minutes on the climbs. And in that 10 to 12 or 15% range, I'll allow myself to hike, particularly if it's sustained. But if it's just like a rolling uphill climb, I might just push a little bit, because there's an energy cost to switching between running and walking. So ideally you want to stay either running or walking for a reasonable length of time. The other thing I'm considering is at what gradients should I be using poles, because obviously now we're at a very slight uphill gradient, maybe 1%, so much more efficient to be getting the arm swing from standard running and having the poles stashed. At some point, maybe like 3 to 5% gradient, it starts becoming more efficient to have the poles. So I'm also trying to practice that a bit more. Yeah, the key thing is just keep the legs moving up to the gradient that you pre-decided in training that you want to run at. Just don't give yourself a choice, regardless of if the legs feel heavy, tired. Like I said, the speed doesn't matter too much. You'll naturally build more speed as you practice. Just keep the legs ticking over. And as I get into the more sustained climb, I will switch to poles. Just makes the effort so much easier. Definitely a hiking section. Quite steep here. That's my 20-minute timer, 22-minute timer. I have a gel. Except, need my poles to get out of the mud. Okay. Merci. Excusez-moi.
Bonjour.
Merci.
I'm climbing up through this paddock to avoid all the cows. The cows are on the path. Look at them all. Wow.